My wife's suitcase was packed after 30 years of marriage. 9 words saved everything, and they weren't "I'm sorry." Guys, picture this. I'm standing in our bedroom doorway, watching my wife of 3 decades packing a suitcase. Not for vacation, she's leaving. After all the years, the kids, the mortgage, she's done. "I'm tired of feeling invisible," she said. Not angry. Worse. Resigned. Here's the kicker. I thought we were fine. I fixed things around the house. Steady paycheck. Never cheated. But none of that mattered because I'd missed something bigger. That night, desperate, I stumbled onto something that changed everything. 9 simple words that not only got that suitcase unpacked, but transformed our marriage from 2 roommates into actual partners again. Hell, our sex life even improved without directly addressing it once. I'm not some relationship guru. I'm a 63-year-old former construction manager who likes football and fishing. But what I discovered works. It's working right now for thousands of guys like us who are sleepwalking through their marriages. Next 5 minutes might save you from finding your own wife packing a suitcase someday, or help you reconnect if things are just fine, which is often worse than terrible. Let me ask you, when's the last time your wife told you something important, something real about her day? Not scheduling, not about the kids or grandkids, but something she was thinking or feeling. Can't remember? That's the warning sign I missed. We men have a blind spot. We think if there's no fighting, everything's good. But there's something worse than conflict. It's called disengagement. That's when she stops bothering to argue because she stopped believing you care. One buddy called it the roommate phase. You're managing a household together, not sharing a life. Look, after 50, this stuff sneaks up on you. You've been together forever, so conversations become efficient. How was your day? Fine. What's for dinner? Chicken. And somewhere in all that efficiency, the real connection disappears. I was guilty as charged. My wife would start telling me about her concerns with her aging mother, and I'd half listen while checking scores on my phone. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't realize what was actually happening. She wasn't just sharing information. She was trying to connect. And I was failing that test every damn time. This silent drift happens so gradually you don't notice until it's almost too late, like the frog in slowly heating water. By the time I saw my wife packing, the water was already boiling. That night, after begging her to give me 1 more month, I remembered something a buddy who counsels couples once told me. I turned to my wife and asked, "What's on your mind, not just today, but about us?" Sounds simple, right? But here's why it works so powerfully for guys our age. It bypasses the surface crack and goes straight to what matters. It can't be answered with fine or nothing. It signals you're interested in her thoughts, not just checking a box in husband duties. When I first asked this, my wife looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "Since when do you care what's on my mind?" Ouch. Fair hit. But when she realized I was actually waiting for an answer, not half listening while eyeing the TV remote, something shifted. At first, she talked hesitantly. Then the floodgates opened. Stuff she'd been thinking for years, but never shared because I hadn't created the space. Concerns about our retirement, feeling disconnected from her friends, wondering if I was still attracted to her after her health issues. I was blindsided, not by what she said, but by how much I'd been missing. "I've been carrying all this alone," she told me, "because you seem too busy to be bothered." The power isn't in the exact words. It's that you're essentially saying, "You matter enough that I want to know what's happening in your head." For a woman who's felt invisible, that's like water in the desert. Let me break this down into a straightforward approach that works even if you feel awkward as hell trying it. This isn't about becoming some sensitive new age guy. It's about being strategic with your attention. First, timing matters. Don't try this when she's busy, stressed, or you're both exhausted. After dinner works well, when the day's demands are handled. Turn off the TV. Put your phone away, not just down, completely away. Nothing says you're not important like glancing at notifications while she's talking. I bombed my first attempt by trying this when my wife was halfway through her evening routine. Bad timing. The next night, I waited until after dinner, when we naturally ended up on the couch. Night and day difference in her response. Second, your physical presence speaks volumes. Sit where you can see each other without feeling like an interrogation. Make actual eye contact. One power move, have a small notebook handy, and jot down something important she says. When my wife saw me write down her worry about her sister's health, she was shocked. It showed I thought her concerns were worth remembering. Third, and this is where most of us crash and burn, actually listen without jumping to fix things. When she mentions feeling overlooked at family gatherings, don't immediately suggest solutions. Just acknowledge, that sounds frustrating. My construction brain always wanted to grab tools and fix problems. But sometimes understanding is the fix. A goal isn't doing this perfectly. It's showing you're making a genuine effort to see her, not just look at her. First time you try this, don't expect rainbows in gratitude. You're changing the pattern after decades of interaction. Here's what might happen and how to handle it like a pro. If she says, nothing's wrong, or I'm fine, don't bail on the easy out. That's just self-protection after years of not being heard. Simply respond, I've got time whenever you want to talk. Then wait. Comfortable silence. Don't grab your phone or turn on the TV. The waiting is crucial. My wife tested me with exactly this response. I just waited, and after about 30 seconds, felt like an hour, she started talking. If she gets emotional, and guys, this is important, don't try to stop it or fix it. If tears come, just pass a tissue and stay put. When my wife cried while sharing how lonely she'd felt, even with me in the room, my first instinct was to defend myself. Instead, I just said, I had no idea you were carrying that. I'm listening now. That response did more than any defense ever could. Hardest scenario, she criticizes you. When my wife said, you stopped seeing me years ago, every defensive instinct fired up. Instead of arguing, I took a deep breath and asked, help me understand what that's been like for you. That single response changed the entire direction of the conversation. Remember, you might hear some hard truths the first few times. Don't panic. It's like cleaning out a garage that's been neglected for years. Gets messier before it gets better. But the cleanup is worth it. Once you've broken the ice with this approach, you need a system to make it stick. This isn't a one-and-done fix. It's a complete upgrade to how you connect. Try different versions of the question for different situations. Morning coffee. What's one thing on your mind today I wouldn't think to ask about? Stressful times. How are you feeling about how we're handling this together? After disagreements, what would help you feel we're back on the same team? Before intimacy, what would make you feel most connected to me right now? A key isn't finding the perfect words, but creating consistent space for real talk. My buddy Mike, married 36 years, created what he calls Scotch Sundays. 1 drink and 30 minutes of uninterrupted conversation every week. It's the highlight of our week now, he told me. Who would have thought? Let me share a simple framework that's been gold for guys in our group. The 2-2-2 rule. Every 2 weeks, have a dedicated conversation with no distractions. Every 2 months, take a day trip somewhere new together. Every 2 years, plan a multi-day getaway focused on reconnection. This creates natural opportunities to go deeper at regular intervals. The power of this approach is consistency. My wife didn't fully trust the change until I'd kept it up for several weeks. I was waiting for you to lose interest, she admitted. Proving her wrong was one of my proudest moments. Here's where the rubber meets the road. What actually changes when you commit to this approach? 3 months in, my wife surprised me with weekend reservations at the Coastal Inn where we'd honeymooned. As we walked on the beach, she said something I'll never forget. I feel seen again. I'd forgotten what that felt like. The changes went far beyond just feeling closer. Our physical intimacy transformed without ever directly addressing it. Turned out, our bedroom issues were actually living room issues. Once we connected emotionally, everything else improved naturally. My wife began initiating more often, something that had been rare for years. Even more surprising were the health benefits. My chronic shoulder tension, which I'd spent a fortune trying to fix, improved significantly. My buddy Jim saw his blood pressure drop 15 points after 3 months. My doctor asked what medication I'd changed. He laughed. He was pretty surprised when I said, Just talking to my wife differently. The most profound change is in how you view yourself as a husband. I'd always defined being a good husband through providing, protecting, and fixing things. Now I understand that truly seeing her, being witness to her internal world, is equally important. There's deep satisfaction in actually knowing the person you've built your life with, especially when you thought you already did. Bill, a 70-year-old Vietnam vet in our group, summed it up perfectly. I've spent decades priding myself on being tough and self-sufficient. Turns out the bravest thing I've ever done was asking my wife what she was really thinking and then shutting up long enough to hear the answer. Look, I was almost another statistic, another gray divorce that leaves everyone worse off. What saved us wasn't some complicated therapy technique. It was 9 simple words. What's on your mind, not just today, but about us? Tonight, create 15 uninterrupted minutes. Turn off the game, put down your phone, look at your wife, and ask this question. Then just listen. She might be surprised, even suspicious. That's normal after years of routine. Consistency is what builds trust. Don't wait for a crisis. Don't wait until you find your wife with a packed suitcase. The time to strengthen your relationship is now, not when health issues force you to depend on each other more than ever. Comment below with what surprised you most when she answered. Your experience might help another guy wake up before it's too late. We're building a brotherhood of men who understand that connection isn't soft stuff. It's the foundation of everything good in our relationships after 50. Share this with a buddy who needs it. We all know that guy who's complaining about his marriage while missing the simple key that could transform it. Be the friend who helps him see what matters before it's too late. Gentlemen, I almost lost everything that mattered because I didn't know what I didn't know. The woman who chose you all those years ago is still there, waiting to be truly seen and heard. Your future self will thank you for starting tonight. See you next week.